Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're digging into the materials you shared with us about the drone and vital intelligence company, Draganfly. The critical question we're really focused on is a Draganfly a good time to buy now? And hey, if you appreciate us cutting through the noise and, synthesizing all this data for you, please hit that subscribe button, like this video, and definitely drop us a comment below. Plus, if there's a specific company you want us to look into, let us know right there in the comments so we can add it to our research list.
Right, we've got a fascinating task ahead of us today. The source material you provided, it really covers everything from Draganfly's core fundamentals, their incredibly active technical price action, all the way through a pretty long list of short and long-term speculative catalysts. The consensus view presented is, well, surprisingly bullish, but we absolutely have to highlight the central tension here. You've got strong growth potential versus some very real and frankly persistent profitability risks. That balance, that's really the core of this discussion.
Okay, let's dive into the fundamentals first then. The bedrock of any company. Looking at the revenue, we see that high double-digit growth, which, usually catches an investor's eye. What are the specific metrics there?
Yeah, the growth is definitely significant. As of the end of Q2, so June 30, 2025, Draganfly reported a 22.06% increase in revenue year over year. That's solid momentum, no doubt. However, the sources immediately kind of tempered that enthusiasm. They note that while Draganfly is growing quickly, it is slightly lagging some of its closest competitors in the high-speed UAV sector. So they're running fast, but well, so is the entire industry.
Right. Chasing that kind of high-speed growth often means taking on heavy debt. But one of the major positive flags in the research was the company's stability. How healthy is the balance sheet looking?
It's excellent, actually, and this is a massive point of resilience that helps balance out those other risks we mentioned. Draganfly maintains exceptionally low debt levels. I mean, we're talking about a debt-to-equity ratio of just 0.02.
Wow, 0.02. That's tiny.
It's incredibly low. That ultra-low leverage means they're funding their operational growth largely through equity rather than, crippling loans. And that gives them immense flexibility to keep investing in their core strength, which is innovative products, without that immediate financial strain hanging over them.
Okay, now we have to address the elephant in the room, don't we? Strong revenue growth is great, and a low debt profile is fantastic. But it all becomes kind of academic if the company can't actually make money. Let's talk about that profitability challenge. What did Q2 look like on that front?
Yeah, this is really the caution zone. Q2 confirmed those serious profitability concerns. While their reported EPS of negative $0.44 was technically a slight beat on consensus, the revenue number supporting that was tiny, just $1.55 million. And more critically, the net income loss was staggering, negative $9.61 million USD.
Wait, hold on a second. A nearly $10 million loss on just $1.55 million in revenue.
Right?
That's an absolutely insane burn rate. That's not just a typical startup loss. That is a massive gap. What specifically in the source material suggests this isn't just, value destruction? Why would anyone buy into that?
And that is the critical question, right? The market clearly isn't betting on immediate profitability here. It's betting on future competitive dominance. Analysts remain overwhelmingly bullish, and the reason seems to be Draganfly's established and prominent position in two specific areas. That's the UAV hardware space and what they call the vital intelligence sector.
Yeah, vital intelligence.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean in this context? Is it just software?
It's more than just software. It's the proprietary software and services that go beyond just flying the drone. Think data processing, specialized sensors, the analysis of that data, often used for really high-stakes applications. Things like public safety, critical infrastructure inspection, or even defense. Draganfly's unique product offerings in this specific niche are seen as highly defensible and scalable. So the market seems to believe this proprietary position will eventually allow them to scale into profitability. Once this initial high-cost investment phase, the one resulting in that $9.61 million loss, is complete.
Okay, that makes the narrative much clearer. So it's fundamentally a bet on future market leadership. Speaking of the market, let's switch gears completely and look at the recent stock movement, because the price action has been, well, wild.
Yeah, wild is a good word for it. And here's where the investment thesis gets major short-term credibility. The stock has shown a textbook bullish trend over the last few months. You see consecutive higher lows and higher highs. That pattern, it's like the visual signature of strong, committed investor confidence and accumulation.
And how do the technical indicators back that visual up? Are they confirming this?
They absolutely confirm the momentum. If you look at the moving averages, the stock is clearly trending upward. And crucially, Indicators like the RSI, that's the Relative Strength Index measuring speed and change of price movements, and the MACD, which tracks momentum, they all suggest a sustained upward trajectory. Importantly, they look healthy right now. They're not currently signaling that the stock is overbought, which suggests there might still be room to run.
The actual surges, though, they've been dramatic, 49% in 2 weeks. That's not just momentum, that's almost a parabolic jump. What caused that massive buying pressure leading into September? Any specific news?
That kind of volatility is pretty typical of a high-growth speculative stock like this, where any good news or even anticipated good news gets magnified. Leading into September 2025, the stock experienced that surge of nearly 49% in just 2 weeks. It seems driven largely by anticipation and speculation around upcoming events. And then we saw specific action on October 7th, where shares jumped another 13.7%, closing at $10.64, and significantly on very abnormal trading volume, high interest there.
So for investors looking at buying now, maybe you're considering an entry point, what are the key levels they need to watch? Support and resistance.
Right. The sources map out the historical risk and the near-term opportunity pretty clearly. Historically, support is way down there, around the 52-week low of $1.63. That shows you the downside if the growth narrative completely collapses. Resistance is nearer the recent high, around $12.12. Looking ahead, analysts project that over the next 3 months, the stock is likely to trade in a strong bullish range, probably oscillating between, say, $9 and $12, provided that market optimism continues.
Okay, this level of price movement, this kind of volatility and upward trend, it's often followed by institutional endorsement. Are the smart money and the analysts buying into this story?
They are, absolutely. The analyst conviction seems, through the roof. They're maintaining a consensus strong buy rating, and we saw H.C. Wainwright & Co., which is known as a high conviction firm, really demonstrate their belief. They raised their price target not once, but twice in October, ultimately settling at a very optimistic $14. That's a huge vote of confidence.
$14. Okay. And what about the big players? The institutional investors, are they putting their money where their mouth is?
They are accumulating, yes. Major institutions like DNB Asset Management, XTX Topco, and Jane Street Group have all recently increased their stakes. And that institutional accumulation, it acts as a powerful long-term validation signal. They aren't just trading the volatility, they're building positions. It indicates rising confidence in the company's strategic direction long-term.
That institutional validation definitely provides some underpinning for the momentum. Now let's talk about the fuel. What's going to power this thing for the next few months? What short-term catalysts are lined up that could move the stock quickly?
Okay, the immediate, really pivotal event is the Q3 earnings release. That's scheduled for October 31st, 2025. Given the high expectations set by those recent analyst upgrades, like that $14 target, a material outperformance could easily trigger the next wave of buying. Beyond that, the calendar includes the major ETF rebalancing on November 15th that can inject sudden liquidity, sometimes unexpectedly. And then there's the U.S. Thanksgiving drone demand report on November 24th. That could give some interesting insight into the commercial market trajectory.
And what about the products themselves? Any potential surprises there?
Yes, absolutely. Any surprise new product launches or maybe strategic partnerships related to new drone technologies or those vital intelligence products, those are always immediate catalysts. They can be announced literally at any time and often cause massive short-term spikes in the stock price.
Okay, so beyond the quarterly reports and the scheduled events, what's the speculative buzz? The longer-term potential that keeps the most dedicated bulls interested, aiming for that $14 price target.
Right. Now we're moving a bit more into speculation territory, but these are the narratives that often drive those longer-term valuation premiums. First, there are persistent, pretty strong rumors that Draganfly is on the verge of securing a significant federal drone supply contract for deployment starting in 2026. That would be absolutely defining, a game-changing moment for their revenue stability if it happens.
And the ultimate exit strategy rumor, is there any talk of an acquisition? Buyout potential?
There is. There's unconfirmed industry chatter suggesting the company is a prime strategic acquisition target. You can imagine a larger aerospace or defense firm looking to immediately integrate cutting-edge drone and vital intelligence tech. They would likely find Draganfly highly attractive because of its unique market position.
Interesting. Any other technology developments that could define their 2026?
Yes, speculation is quite high about a completely new product line. One featuring advanced AI and maybe true autonomous functionality. That could potentially debut in early 2026. Something like that would significantly enhance their competitive moat, make them harder to catch. And finally, there's talk of aggressive international expansion moves, particularly into key markets in Europe and Asia. That suggests potentially massive, untapped long-term revenue runways.
Okay, we've definitely established a compelling case for the upside here, lots of potential catalysts. But we absolutely must circle back to the risk. If this bullish scenario failed to materialize, where does the fault likely lie? What's the main danger?
It takes us directly back to where we started, really, in that first section. The single core risk, the primary one, is the continued challenge related to profitability and specifically net margin performance. Despite the strong revenue growth, despite the strategic market positioning, they simply have not yet demonstrated a credible, sustained path toward positive net income. So if the Q3 results or subsequent reports fail to show a clear closing of that massive $9.61 million deficit, that optimistic narrative could flip very, very quickly.
Right. So if we synthesize everything we've discussed, the financials, the momentum, the speculation, the risks, what is the overall investment thesis that the sources laid out for us? What's the bottom line from the material?
The materials present a pretty unified front on this. They assign Draganfly an overall bullish rating of 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10. That's quite high.
It is. And the rationale really rests on that powerful combination of factors we've covered. Sustained double-digit revenue growth, their strategic defensible market positioning in a high-growth sector, the technical momentum suggesting strong underlying buying interest, and that overwhelmingly positive analyst and institutional sentiment we talked about.
So who is this stock actually for? Based on the analysis, is this a quick flip for traders? Or is it more of a long-term hold based on that institutional conviction?
Well, the sources suggest Draganfly is kind of uniquely attractive to both types of investors, actually. It seems ideal for short-term traders who are looking to leverage those upcoming tightly scheduled catalysts like the Q3 earnings or potential new product launches. But simultaneously, it appeals strongly to long-term investors who are seeking that structural growth and potential competitive dominance in these emerging tech sectors like advanced UAVs and vital intelligence.
Okay, that gives us a very clear picture then. It's a high-risk, high-reward proposition. So the final takeaway for you, our listener, seems to be this. Draganfly is definitely a high-volatile, potentially high-growth play. The fundamental question that really determines its success is whether management can successfully convert their current strong revenue growth and unique market position into sustained positive net income. That's the hurdle.
Exactly. And that leads us to the ultimate thought for you to consider as we wrap up. Given all this current positive momentum and the immense analyst conviction backing this stock right now, if Draganfly manages to secure just one of those rumored significant federal or international contracts, which, remember, are often multi-year, highly profitable deals, how quickly could that single event just erase these existing profitability concerns? Could it establish Draganfly not just as a competitor, but as a dominant, maybe even indispensable industry leader? That right there is the core question determining its long-term potential. Something to mull over.